Are you looking to stay informed about what's going on in Madison without the media spin? Well, here's the latest news from the Wisconsin Assembly Chambers brought right into your home, directly from the office of your representative, who truly values his constituents' feedback and in always working hard on the issues that matter to you. Welcome to the Ramthun Report.
Hello fellow patriots, welcome to our 28th episode, and this episode is to help clear the air on what is really happening with the 3 audit efforts that are in motion in Wisconsin. We feel it's important to educate the people because there has been a genuine effort to mislead and confuse everyone. This week's hot topics include an explanation of Audit Effort number 1, where Representative Ramthun explains the scope of the Legislative Audit Bureau's audit. And then we look at the contract that was put into place solely by the Speaker and an explanation into why this second audit effort still falls wildly short of what the people are demanding. And lastly, Representative Ramthun explains this third effort is the true, transparent, full cyber and forensic audit that the people are demanding so we can remove confusion from all the rhetoric. So here's Representative Ramthun to explain what the LAB Scope says and why it isn't enough to satisfy the needs for the people.
Good morning, everybody. I am taking a couple of minutes here to talk directly to you about this Legislative Audit Bureau audit that many of you have heard about. There was a meeting back in mid to late January with the Joint Legislative Audit Committee, which consists of Senator Dale Kayenga, Howard Markline, Melissa Agard, Tim Carpenter, and then Representatives John Mako, Mark Boren, Diane Hesselbein, and Francesca Hong, as well as Sam Kirkman. And Robert Coles, I believe, is the chair for the Senate side. Anyhow, they had a discussion in front of Legislative Audit Bureau State Auditor Joe Chrisman. And on June 29th, when I asked for evidence or detail of this meeting, Representative Sam Kirkman, who is the chairperson for the Audit Committee on the Assembly side, sent out an email. And she basically says in the email that dated June 29th that from the scope memo, this is what the election administration audit is expected to cover. This underlined URL here is the link to the actual document from the LAB. And on the LAB document, it says, just prior to the 4 bullet points for this audit, an audit of elections administration could examine issues pertaining to. So right off the bat, I am not convinced and do not know of the 4 items I'm about to read to you, if any of the 4 are being done, 1 of the 4, 2 of the 4, 3, or all 4. I don't know. Nobody knows what's actually physically happening, and that's one of the reasons why I have contention with this audit. It doesn't have the transparency we need to know what they're doing, number 1, and number 2, we're not going to know if the results they get is going to touch the areas of concern we have, and I don't believe they will, and I'll get into that in just a moment. So let me tell you what the administration could examine issues pertaining to are efforts by the Elections Commission to comply with election laws, including by working with clerks to ensure voter registration data included only eligible voters, and by providing training and guidance to clerks. So it's around process between municipal clerks, county clerks, and the Wisconsin Election Commission. Efforts by clerks, bullet number 2, efforts by clerks to comply with election laws, including by administering elections, processing absentee ballots, and performing recount responsibilities, as well as the observations and concerns of clerks regarding election administration. Again, it's around process, specifically to municipal clerk activities. Item number 3, the use of electronic voting systems, including the methodology and results of the Elections Commission's most recent statutorily required post-election audit and the actions taken as a result of this audit. That doesn't tell me anything about machines and routers and log files. It just touches on use of electronic voting systems, like who's using what maybe. I don't know what this means. And the last bullet is general election related complaints filed with the Election Commission and clerks, as well as how those complaints were addressed. These scope statement asks, again, I don't know how many of them are being done, number 1. I'm hearing that they're affecting all 72 counties, maybe, maybe not, I don't know. They don't tell us anything during the process, which started right after this message came out in February 8th rather. February 8th they started this process. It does not have transparency. It does not directly address ballots, machines, and routers. So when you talk about a comprehensive and surgical full forensic cyber audit, you have to have those elements contained. Otherwise, the audit data is not going to get you what you need to get closure. So there is a difference in approach. This will be helpful. This will be helpful from an informational purpose for us when we get all the data out from this audit, from the LAB, and hopefully the full forensic cyber audit. And then we can merge that and we can get, I think what we really need here is what happened comprehensively with anything that touched the ballot and election process. So I'm a little bit unstable with how I feel about this situation. It's not going to get us what we need. It won't hurt, but it won't help and to the degree it needs to be. So that's it for now. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
We wanted to let you know that there will be links to the documents we reference in the video descriptions so you can review these documents for yourself. Now let's take a look at the audit effort number 2 by observing the contract that the speaker made on his own so you can see that this too is not what the people are demanding.
Hello again, everybody. Item number 2 I'd like to touch on today is a sequence of events up to and including coordinating attorney independent contractor agreement, which occurred initially on the 25th of June. It's been modified at least once, if not twice since then, which is kind of part of the concern I have about this type of audit activity. So we've got the Legislative Audit Bureau doing their 72 county superficial inquiries with process and clerks. Then we've got this secondary item, which, and I'll give you a little bit of a timeline here because it's important to know this. On March 10th, so actually let me back up to January. In January, Representative Janelle Branchin was named as the chairperson for campaign and elections. So from basically the first week of January through the month of January, month of February, Representative Branchin was working very hard to pull together informational hearings to start to get the exposure on election integrity, to try to get some information gathering going so we could determine if we needed to do more. And that event happened on March 10th. Campaign and elections informational hearing occurred. It's on Wisconsin Eye. I watched and was there for the first hour and 9 minutes and 43 seconds, but who's counting? And Eric Cardall, the attorney from Green Bay, was there. And I'll tell you what, that first hour and 9 minutes was transformational for me because it qualified the depth of concern we should have about our election process, and it gave merit to moving forward with activity to qualify that, period, end of story. So that happened on March 10th. On March 25th, the Assembly body met on the floor, was it 99? The vote was 35 to 58. So 58-35 voted on the floor, do the math, to get us to approve that this Campaign and Elections Committee could move forward with its investigations, could do subpoenas, whatever it took to get truth, okay? We voted as a body on the floor, basically the entire 99 representation who were there. And it was a 58-35 vote. On the 27th of March, also the same day, apparently the organizational committee for the Assembly, which is chaired by the Speaker, it has leadership members on it as well, met, and they don't actually meet, but they had this ballot type vote process that says whether or not the Speaker was authorized to hire somebody to help the Campaign and Elections Committee. And that vote passed 6-4, I believe. On the 25th of June, the Speaker announces Michael Gableman, Justice Michael Gableman, to head up this independent contractor agreement. The concern I have about from the 27th of March till June 25th, basically 60 days, there was zero communication to the Campaign and Elections Chair. She was never asked if she needed help, if she wanted help, what type of help did she need. There was zero communication from the Speaker's office to the Chair, and that's a problem for me as well because it does not allow for transparency and truth. It doesn't allow for the effective utilization of resources that this committee represents. There's good people on this committee, and it's headed by a great chairperson, and they were left out of the behind-the-scenes conversations that happened to orchestrate this contract, which now I will read to you, part of it, some of it. This is from the June 24th, 25th time frame. Again, this contract was amended once, if not twice, since, and we'll get into that in a subsequent Ramthun report. But for today, this independent contractor agreement is entered into the 25th day of June 2021 by and between the Wisconsin Assembly and Consult Chair LLC, by and through its president, Michael J. Gableman, an independent contractor, now qualified as contractor, in consideration of the mutual promises made herein as follows. First of all, I want you to know, I had nothing to do with this. I'm part of the assembly body, and I was not consulted on whether we should do this or not, and how we would do it, and how much it would cost. So this is an independent activity by one member of our body, my humble opinion. This agreement will become effective July 1st. Contractor agrees to analyze and delegate to the investigator leads allegations from whatever source derived, including but not limited to those that have been submitted to the Assembly Committee on Campaigns and Elections, raised in the media, provided to members of the legislature before, during the investigation, or generated through the course of this investigation. That's an interesting statement. Think about that. And by the way, you're going to see this contract in the Ramthun report. It will be clipped on for your full view. You can read the whole thing. The next bullet I want to touch on here is compile all investigative reports and weekly attorney reports into a final report related to the election investigation to be submitted to the Speaker of the Assembly. Okay, what about Campaign and Elections Committee? What about the Assembly body? Again, this touches on the need for transparency that doesn't exist in this contract. And the last item I want to read on the bullet points is keep all information, findings related to the services rendered under this agreement confidential. That's kind of the opposite of transparency, right? Except when working with integrity investigators and such designees of the Assembly whom the Speaker shall from time to time identify in writing to the consultant for such purpose. Where is the Campaign and Elections Committee in this? At present, the Speaker hereby designates Attorney Steve Fawcett as the Assembly's point of contact with the contractor. So a member of the Speaker's office is an extension of the Speaker. It's still the Speaker. The identity of the Assembly point of contact with whom the contractor may share such information may be modified from time to time in writing by the Speaker. The requirement for confidentiality set forth in this paragraph extends to any and all employees or agents of the contractor. I'll let you read it. Get back to me with questions and comments. I can't start to talk about what I feel in reading this again right now because there isn't enough time in the day. The last item I'd like to speak at, compensation on behalf of the Assembly. I was never asked about hiring the person or how they would be compensated. I think that's a good discussion to have, but we never had it. In consideration for the services to be performed by the contractor, the Assembly agrees to pay contractor the sum of $11,000 on a monthly basis, the first such payment due on July 15th, 2021, and payment continuing on through the 15th day of each subsequent month, subject to this agreement. At the time, it was August, September, and October. It's been extended to December, which is why another contract was done after the 24th, but let's just focus on this one. Until the term of the agreement cited herein has ended. Okay, that was extended. So it's going to be compensation for more than 3 months, and we were never talked to about it. It was never discussed. It was never agreed on by the body, which is not of, by, and for the people. This should have been exposed. It should have been talked about behind the scenes with the caucus. It should have been talked about on the floor. It should have been publicized. It was not. So I'm glad it's happening in a way where I believe the entity is needed, the individual. It's not about the person, it's about the function of the position. I think it's needed for the process, but this is audit option number 2, different from audit option number 1. In our next conversation, we'll talk about audit option number 3, which is the one the people are asking for, the one we need to do for closure. Thank you for your time. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
We feel it's important for the people to have transparency into these two efforts because we need to see why there is a need for the third option that we are trying to provide. So here is Representative Ramthun to explain why we need to see past all the noise and focus on getting the audit that the people demand to take place and what that looks like.
Hello again, and this is the third time today I'll be speaking to you regarding this Ramthun report. The third time is the charmer. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know rather that I wanted desperately for Representative Branchen to be here with me for this third segment, and she is here in the office today. But I'll tell you, after pulling me aside and telling me what's going on in her world, she physically could not be here today, and I'm a little sad about that presence lacking. However, I would tell you that this individual is working hard and smart and effectively to get the right things done of by and for the people as well. And that's why I'm so honored to work with her on this initiative. I asked her if there's anything she can delegate, and I'll be there for her if she needs any assistance in any way, shape, or form. But right now, Janelle can't be here, but maybe next week or the week after at best. We'll get her in here and she'll do a little recap of what it's like to be her, which is not real fun right now. And I can relate to that as well. So let's move on to the second item I want to share with you guys. On Tuesday, the 7th of September, it is my understanding that the Wisconsin Elections Commission commissioners are meeting to discuss approving an agenda request from ES&S, one of the other machine makers for the state of Wisconsin, more than Dominion. I think there's more ES&S machines in the state than Dominion. But they are asking for the same question. They want to update their machines. Now, I'm still pretty pissed off about putting out a press release on August 11th saying there's concern about access to the image on these Dominion machines and the probability of changing anything within that image, which includes the log files. I don't care about any image material for ballots, anything ballot specific. I want to see the log files. I want to see who logged into a machine and when, from what IP address. I want to see if something was uploaded or downloaded. I want to see activity from the log file, and the log files can be modified with these upgrades because they change the image in some way, shape, or form, and it affects the log files. That's what's bad about this. We can't let these people, so we're going to work on doing an injunction or something. We got to stop what Dominion's doing to date. We can't allow for the ES&S people to come in. I hope the motion fails 3-3. It's a 6-member commission, 3 Republicans and 3 Democrats, and I hope all 3 Republicans say no to this. I know all 3 Democrats will say yes, because that's all they want to do. They want to hurry up and bury the evidence and keep the ability of obtaining forensic data and a full forensic cyber audit from being achieved, because the data is going to be gone. By the time we get to it, it won't be there the way things are going. So that's got to get addressed. We got to keep that vote from passing, and if it does pass, we still got to do an injunction for the Dominion element as well as anybody else who has a machine in this state. It's just crap, okay? It's crap. Third thing I want to run past you, the support for the third element of an audit that is full forensic cyber in nature, which is comprehensive, it includes ballots to machines to routers, is the primary audit type that 45 GOP county chairs in the state of Wisconsin out of 72 counties is saying they want. We have over a majority of county GOP support that should be messaging its GOP representation, both assembly and as senators, to say this is what we want you guys to do. So I'm hopeful that these 45 and growing rapidly, I'll bet you we're over 50 by Friday, and we'll be in the 60s by next week, and the goal is 72, and we might get real close to that. So the state's crying out for closure. And these 45 county chairs that support Janelle's version of the audit, that want to see her subpoenas authorized so they can be enacted and she can continue her work, which has been going on since January when she accepted the role to be chair for this committee. She got that support in AR-15 on the 27th and hasn't been able to do her job as effectively because she's being blocked. And it's not good. The full forensic cyber audit also includes chain of custody elements, which are ballot related as well. And so people just need to know that there's essentially 3 versions of audits that could be in play. One is already happening with LAB. The middle one, number 2, with Robin Vos and the Speaker Vos and the counsel, and the consultant rather, the contractor element is number 2, and Janelle's version would be number 3. Everybody's saying they want number 3. I want number 3. She wants number 3. We need number 3, okay? Funding for this. I know the element number 2 has been authorized anywhere from $650,000 to $700,000. For what, I don't know. Perhaps to pay attorneys and for travel expense, I guess. But the funding for option number 3, which is the full forensic cyber, would be donated primarily from private sources, which would prevent it from being taxpayer-funded audit. Last thing I want to say is urgency drives the passion to get the right audit going. So the focus for me is let's get done with the rhetoric, let's get done with the games, let's get done with the deflection. Let's get the plan of having a full forensic cyber audit going so we can start the analysis to qualify the data. Arizona's information is going to come out real soon, and sources that I have there are telling me without question it's going to be a paradigm shift, it's going to be an eye-opener, it's going to be nuclear. So if I don't know what that means, but I think it means it's going to be revealing, and that's what we need. So when Arizona's audit stuff comes out, I think that's going to help in momentum here as well, and it'll wake people up that might be on the fence for reasons like fear, favoritism, or funding that basically keeps them quiet in the corner. And I'm talking about my colleagues. It's not right that everybody sits on the bench and waits. What are you waiting for? For it to be too late? You need to get off the bench and get engaged in this, because it's your future and the future of your state and the future of our country. This is a national security issue, ladies and gentlemen, and all hands should be on deck, and they're not. And I won't stop expressing my concern about that, because it's incomprehensible to me that people aren't embracing this, even if you don't think anything happened. Engage in proving that you're right, but you're not. You sit on the bench and say they're all crazy. The guys that need to prove it, that it did happen, are working hard to make it happen, and you're looking at one of them right now, and I will not stop until this is done. This is why I'm here, and I will not waver, and I will not give up, and we will persevere, and we will be victorious, and you win. And then I'll go away and, I don't know, mow lawn or something and enjoy my life, because for such a time as this, I'm here to serve, and this will get done. His will be done. Have a great day. Bye now.
This concludes our 28th episode of the Ramthun Report. Don't forget to check the links below and make a Ramthun request. Remember to share this content with as many of your fellow patriots as possible, because together we can truly restore the principles of a government of, by, and for the people. We will see you next week. God bless you and yours always.